Why was so much grass? Why was 10 millimeters of grass left on the Melbourne deck? 20 wickets fell on day 1, 16 wickets fell on day 2, the test match was over. A 2-day affair yet again in the Ashes has resulted in millions of dollars of losses for Cricket Australia. And the man who is at the center of all this storm is Matt Page, the MCG Curator. Now, remarkably, it should have been the third day's action, but there was a press conference that Matt Page had to attend. Matt Page and his MCG boss both came in and they addressed the issue. Why did he leave so much grass on the MCG wicket? And the immediate response that he gave was that we had a lot of hot weather leading into last year. We left more moisture in the top of the pitch last year to provide that contest early up in the game. Now, this is the reason. He felt that because there was a lot of hot weather and it was predicted that there would be hotter weather in the third and the fourth and the fifth days of the test match, a dry grass covering would ensure that the pitch would have a far more equal balance. But Melbourne's fickle weather destroyed Matt Page's plans. Because Melbourne is so fickle. In one day, you can get all four weather conditions. It can be 40 degrees, it can pour in the next hour, and then there'll be snow in the next hour, it can drop to freezing, and then you'll have steady conditions also. All weather conditions on the single day is possible in Melbourne. And this is where Matt Page said, we anticipated that there will be hot weather. That is what the meteorological forecast had given. But we've gone in with 10 millimeters. We knew we were going to get a lot of hot weather at the back end of the game. So, thicker the grass, if it gets hotter, it will get drier, and then there'll be equal bounce and pace for both teams. But unfortunately, either if you look at the technical deficiencies of the batters, they didn't even last 2 days. Now, why have they left so much grass? It is because of the horror of 2017. Now remember, 2017, after the Ashes test ended, the outfield, the pitch, everything was given a poor rating. Because you struggled to take so many wickets even after 5 days. It was a featherbed. Melbourne got a poor rating, and if they had gotten one more poor rating, Melbourne would not have been able to host international matches for 2 years. Now that worried Victoria Cricket, and that is why they said, really conscious of that flat wicket. We don't want to go back to where we were in 2017. Our grass is vitally important to what we do. So they said pace, swing and bounce. Victoria Cricket just said to Matt Page, he was brought in from Western Australia to manage the drop-ins in Perth. In Melbourne, the brief was clear. We don't want a dull Melbourne wicket. That is what he mentions. If we don't have seam movement, we become dull, lifeless and flat, which is no good for the players, spectators and the game. But he did admit, we've gone too far with this one. And why did they have to go too far for this one? The weather. Cooler conditions. Now they were predicting hot weather, but on the day of the match, if we look at it just a day prior, there was rain and cool weather. Now, what could the groundsman have done at that time? He said, cooler conditions surprised me. We actually had more bounce on day 1 from the data as compared to last year. We had rain on Sunday. We had 25 millimeters of rain here. Now, the excess rain and the cooler conditions leading up to the test match meant, there is far more moisture. The grass is 10 millimeters. Bowlers are going to have a field day. But he has also stated, because of the weather conditions, Melbourne can't have a uniform covering and the thickness cannot be uniform every year. That's what Matt Page said. He said, the grass thickness is going to be different every year because of those challenges with the weather. The margins are very small. Look at the 2019 Boxing Day test match against New Zealand. That time the grass thickness was 12 millimeters. Against India, it was 7 millimeters. Against Pakistan, it was 8 millimeters. Here, it's 10 millimeters. It is because of the nature of the conditions that ensure that, and the weather patterns are so fickle in Melbourne, that preparing a pitch for equal bat and ball contest might be very difficult. And that is why The one good thing that is there is that, okay, there is accountability, there is transparency. Where on earth have we seen, apart from Australia, groundsmen owning up and saying, yes, this is what happened, this is what the pitch preparations were, the weather was like this, we have gone a bit too far. Who admits to all of that? No one. In India, there are only prima donnas who say, oh, this is the kind of wicket that we want this kind of pitch, this is the pitch that is going to suit us. There is no transparency, there is no accountability. Which is why Matt Page, he may be in the center of all the criticism, but kudos to him for at least being transparent and accountable for what has happened. Yes, Melbourne was a disaster. 2 days. And now what will be the ICC rating on the pitch? Matt Page will be really looking at it. Because if it gets a poor rating, then Cricket Australia and Victoria Cricket will have to step in and ensure that for next year, because you may be playing a Boxing Day test against New Zealand, that they will have to address that issue. So thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this update. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis.